G'day guys and gal. Despite all the hectic wars, losses and victories, the Imperium never really seems to be losing or gaining ground, at least until the Great Rift opened. That is because the Imperium will often reclaim lost worlds, which was literally the point of the Indomitus Crusade after all. But how do you reclaim a demon world, where the world's entire ecosystem has collapsed and been replaced with lava or horny towers or literal Nergalite AIDS juice? Taking that a step further, how would you reclaim a world consumed by the Tyranids, infested by the orcs, or one that has a Necron tomb world on it? Well, not only is it possible, but the Imperium does it all the time. Before we get started, I just got back from Switzerland and man, what a sick trip. I even bumped into a few of you guys over there. Shout out to the London lad who paid for my smoothie. That concludes my tomfoolery for the foreseeable future. We're going demon mode on content, baby. This year's gonna be off chops. And yes, the 2024 nude cosplay calendar is nearly finished. We've gone even bigger and better this year, and I'm so keen to show you guys the result. Also, this is Rolo, my new Growendale puppy. Sadly, my previous boy Leroy passed away, but that is what you sign up for when you choose to have one of these little guys. Today we'll go over how the Imperium retakes, recolonizes, and even restores worlds that have been corrupted by one of the many dark forces in the galaxy. Let's get into it. We'll start with the easiest to reclaim and move on from there. In that spirit, first up we have the Tau. Yes, having those filthy blue bovines definitely corrupts a world, at least from some people's perspective. And there is actually a bit of a cleaning process. After the Imperium has ruthlessly exterminated the entire Tau populace of a world, they will systematically destroy all the infrastructure and technology on said world, as even the Mechanicus has next to zero interest in Tau technology. This might seem weird since they love Necron tech so much, but since the Void Dragon is responsible for both the Mechanicus' tech as well as a lot of Necron tech, they share a common ancestor, so it does make sense. However, the Tau tech is just dirty and shit. After that is all gone, the world is suitable for recolonization without too much drama. Although the Imperium has been known to just exterminate its Tau worlds out of spite. The next world that would be the most difficult to reclaim would be that of the Necrons. A Necron tomb world exists mostly underground, with many Imperial worlds not even knowing that they exist on top of a dormant Necron empire. However, when the Necrons awake and infest the planet, it can be quite the doozy, with the most common result being the Imperials getting the fuck out of there. However, if a Space Marine force is nearby and they are able to push into the tomb and destroy the Pharaon, as well as his core room and reanimation protocols, the tomb world will be doomed and the planet free for Imperial occupation once again. This is a very challenging process. However, as a Necron infestation doesn't really corrupt the ecosystem like a Nergalite or Tyranid infestation would, I've got it lower on this list. Here is where it gets interesting. When orcs infest a world, their spores go everywhere, with a shitload of orcs then spawning every day. From there, the ecosystem will slowly turn to be more suited for orcs, and squigs will start appearing. Completely uprooting the orcs is a huge challenge, as when you kill an orc, it jizzes on itself with new orcs sprouting from its corpse. So you have to kill then burn all the orcs as well as all the spores that may have buried underground. Some worlds spend centuries putting down random orc uprisings after an orc incursion. However, it can be done. Ullanor was once the greatest orc planet in the galaxy, with millions of orcs present. However, when the Emperor and his armies came to crush the orcs there, they were able to quickly root out and exterminate the orcs and their spores. This world would later become Armageddon, an unfortunately named but highly valuable Imperial world. Sure, it would then get invaded by a shitload of orcs and get reinfested, but for thousands of years it remained orc-free and still had a lot of valuable resources and some form of ecosystem, although quite a shit one. With a little bit of terraforming post-orc incursion, orc-affected worlds can be brought back to their original glory. However, something that no amount of terraforming will fix is when a world gets liquefied and then consumed by the Tyranids. Tyranids don't really corrupt worlds, at least not for long. They consume them, stripping away their biosphere until it's nothing but a lifeless rock with a thin atmosphere. Often worlds that are under attack by the Nids will be abandoned by the defenders, even if they win, as the Tyranid biocorruption makes the world useless, even if they didn't actually have time to consume it. In that case, the Imperium would often virus bomb the world, burning away all the biomatter and then terraforming it from the ground up to something that could support life, even if the ecosystem would now be fucked. However, if it has been totally stripped, then only moon-like bases can be established. Terraforming a lifeless world isn't too hard for the Mechanicus, but terraforming a rock with a thin atmosphere is. Time and time again in the lore, worlds consumed by the Nids are often considered to be permanently lost, the only redeeming factor being that once the Nids are done with a world, it's technically free for reclamation. But now for the juice of the video. How the fuck does the Imperium reclaim a chaos corrupted world, or even a demon world? After all, they do it all the time. Well, it depends on which chaos god has claimed the world. All of them will ruin the ecosystem, but Nurgle-like corruption is by far the worst for that. When chaos invaded the Fenris system, all the worlds were reclaimed by the Imperium except the one that Nurgle invaded. That one had to be exterminatus. However, the thing about chaos is once you remove its source, or turn off the tap as they say, it vanishes pretty quick. Closing a warp portal can cause a demon army to evaporate like they were nothing. Often, it's either ambient warp energy, a powerful entity, warp artifact, or warp portal that allows chaos to maintain a foothold in real space. So if you were to kill the demon leader, or the summoner, or close the portal, or destroy the artifact, and so on, the chaos corruption would begin to evaporate, leaving behind a scarred but no longer corrupted world. Then after some terraforming, you could bring that world back to its former self. With Nurgle-like corruption, it takes a bit more effort, as even with the chaotic force defeated, the world would still be covered in pestilence and diseased jungles. You'd probably need to virus bomb the world, burn it to ash, and then hopefully terraform it back into something worth reclaiming. On the flip side, Khornite demon worlds would be the easiest to reclaim, as the source of the corruption would be painfully obvious, with you just basically needing to beast through and kill a shitload of demons, like a literal doom guy. Unlike Titsnitch or Slaanesh that would hide the corruption behind some riddle or just down their urethras. Titsnitch corruption doesn't actually seem too bad on the surface. Crystal towers, pretty colors. However, all that warp energy basically guarantees that you'll mutate into something ugly quite quickly. To undo a Titsnitch's world's corruption, it would be less about overwhelming force, unless you're a space wolf, and more about solving some kind of obnoxious riddle to discover a weakness to exploit. Since the demons of Titsnitch rely so much on the warp and its magic, removing a warp nexus would cause it to all come crumbling down pretty quick. As for Slaanesh, I don't know, just don't lick the tentacles and don't shove your dick in any of the orifices, while also making great use of chastity belts and flamethrowers, and you should be good. A cool example of cleansing a joint Khornite and Slaaneshi corrupted world was when Sanguinius and his Blood Angels fought them at Cygnus Prime. The entire system had been corrupted, with Khorne using that corruption to temporarily make the Angels fall to a baby version of the Black Rage. However, by destroying the entire demonic army, killing both greater demon commanders, and then one of the Blood Angels sacrificing himself by absorbing a warp artifact, this dispelled the corruption on the world and basically left it a lifeless husk that the Blood Angels then abandoned. That was actually a great example which really proves my point. However, if the world has become a full-on demon world, it's significantly more difficult of a challenge, as the world has now created its own self-sustaining source of warp energy. Killing a demon lord or closing a portal no longer does much. No point turning off the tap if everything has already been flooded. Even exterminatusing often doesn't work super well on demon worlds due to their warp fuckery. However, the Mechanicus did once fire an experimental Gellerfield bomb, which did actually dispel the planet's warp energy and return it to a non-demon status. However, it did so by teleporting the warp energy to where the bomb was built, instead of dissipating it. Thus, it wasn't a very good solution. The Necrons could probably do it, using their warp pylon tech, which Belsarius Call is currently reverse engineering. So once the Imperium figures that out, the reversal of demon world corruption will really open up, which is quite cool. In saying that, I do believe that cleansing it of demons and then bombing the fucking shit out of it until it's nothing but glass and bedrock could also work. But then there is not really much point trying to recolonize that planet from then on anyways. Because demon worlds are so hard to reclaim, the Imperium will almost always exterminatus the world just before it becomes fully corrupted, because then at least it gives them something they can rebuild upon. As an interesting case study, Terra low-key became a demon world during the Siege of Terra, existing half in the warp and looking pretty fucked. However, after the heresy, it was returned to a stable, non-corrupted state, probably due to the Emperor having a radiant fuck-off chaos aura. So the step-by-step that generally works for reclaiming a corrupted world would be to kill the occupants, remove the source of corruption, and then terraform and recolonize the world. After all, the Blood Angel homeworld of Baal, already an irradiated wasteland desert that was then corrupted by the Tyranids, was mentioned as a prime candidate for terraforming, even to the level of making it a green verdant world. So if Baal can become pretty, then pretty much any other world can as well, unless it's a Nurgle-like demon world. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where we have a bunch of live action nude cosplays, Battle Mace 40 million hentai, and also where I'll be uploading a lot of the cosplay content behind the scenes soon. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more corrupted content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.